it's Thursday, and we're in Bavaria this week. I'm here actually with the one and only Joerg Geissler, Google ad Kaiser, as we would say here in Bavaria. You might remember Joerg joining us for the Google ad for small business. And as I am in Munich, I'm actually in his tastefully set out Bavarian Wohnbude, I think as we say it here. And he is out in the garden admiring the lawn, which I cut for him this afternoon. And we are going to talk about, yeah, check that out, eh? You could do a short golf game on that. It was so high. It was like I had to like hack my way through with a scythe.
Pro tip, invite over your obsessive compulsive friends to clean for you.
Yes, that's the only reason I bring them
Definitely.
there.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out.
Because I have problems with my legs, so
yeah,
it's the only way to get the green as it is.
I've been carrying him from beer garden to beer garden all week. So we are excited because we have our second book out, which I don't have a copy of, but I think Joerg, you have a copy in the garden. There you go.
Mine is right there.
And so it's nonprofit, and you might not think about it, but Google ads are really a great thing for nonprofit, and this is what Joerg and I were talking about. And Joerg's a pretty bright guy, and he said, yeah, Google ads. I don't want to talk about Google ads. I was like, all right, let's not talk about Google ads. And then he said, but there is what we used to call, or actually what we do now call corporate publishing. And we were talking about that for nonprofits. And I said, that sounds like content marketing. And he said, yeah, it's content marketing. But so we really wanted to talk about that because it's a really important thing for nonprofits. This week, I've been discovering more and more people who are spending a lot of time doing content marketing for nonprofits. Makes a lot of sense. And I think, what's really important about it is that emotional connection that we have. That's really important for nonprofits. And that's an important element of content marketing. So
without getting too dark, I've
talked about this for half an hour. Welcome, Joerg, and welcome, Powell, the cat.
Paul, the SEO cat.
The SEO cat. That's right.
He's crawling the internet as we speak.
And how are you? How are you, Joerg, out there in the garden?
In the garden, I'm fine. I'm completely fine.
Good. And
I'm having also beer as usual.
That's all we do. I've been just constantly drinking beer all week.
I had a new IPA in Texas called McConaughey's.
Okay.
Like nice. Matthew McConaughey. All right. It was good. It was
his own beer now.
Well, it's from Twisted X Brewery here in locally in Texas. But right now I'm drinking coffee because it's only noon.
Okay.
So we talk about content marketing all the time. And with nonprofits, it's really hard. Like you have this cause, and people are dying while we're drinking our beer and coffee, and there aren't wells in Africa, and they don't have internet or wells, or like people. There's no hospital beds for COVID patients in San Antonio or all South Texas. Like the world is like, it sometimes feels like everybody needs something like mommy. It gets too much. Like I literally got an unsubscribe for asking for a review. Like people have compassion fatigue. So in the context of need versus people wanting to give, Joerg, what is that balance between content marketing and compassion fatigue?
Well, I mean, when Warren asked me to say about that, I remember that many years ago I was working for World Vision a long time, and they have a very good concept because they make sure with their child sponsorship that people are getting an emotionally return on investment. So this is the most important thing. And I mean, this is also, in a few words, the reason for the importance of content marketing in that way, because you have to make sure people understand and get emotionally involved to be activated. So even if I myself, I'm a bit suspicious with this term. It's, we have like also terms like native advertising, which is also connected to print publishing. That means, in effect, it means that you pay for something which is published, not being formatted, yes, but not being explained as an ad. So this is, Warren, help me. What is Schleichwerbung? What is this?
Schleichwerbung, sneaky advertising.
What?
No, I mean, that means it comes as a news article, but in fact it's an advertising. So
yes, advertorial, yellow journalism. Well,
yeah, advertorial, but it's but what I'm talking about is not even signed as an editorial. It's just, it looks like a journalist thing. So I'm a bit suspicious with all of that. And also I was talking to a guy a few weeks ago who went to a very well-known German newspaper, and I asked what he's doing, and he said, I'm doing the content marketing department there. So, and I said, it's interesting. I hear this so often. So what are you doing exactly? And then he said, it used to be called corporate publishing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's from my point of view, it's really it's a difficult term, but I see that there's a huge need to explain and to show people the benefits of the emotional return on investment if they are engaging. So this is something I accept, and I think this makes a lot of sense beside all these SEO things. So it's really, it's not meant for spiders, it's meant for people. So they have to be addressed, and good enough. Google is learning and is also accepting this as a good point. If you're able to keep customers and to have them on the page long time, and to convert to something, becoming a member or what else, or just leaving your address, this is something which Google likes. So
brand awareness.
This makes a lot of sense, especially for nonprofits.
I mean, like, I was just asked or approached by this media company, y'all, and they were like, "Oh, you could be on this show, so and so and so and so." Like, I don't know, Jack and Jill interview you in the morning on San Antonio Good Morning or some stupid thing like that, and you think it's journalism, but it costs you $2,500 to be interviewed in this news show. So it's not really news, because it's an advertisement. It's literally you're paying to be on that, and then people are watching it. So like that kind of like changed my whole mind about even watching one of those shows, because it's not news. It's the people that pay to be there. It would be like, oh yeah, you can be on Warren's YouTube channel, but send us, €300.
Yeah, you don't know how much I paid to be in Warren and your show.
It was a friendship price.
Don't talk about that.
It was a friendship price, €250 flat rate.
right? But you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So from the other side of it, from the consumer side, once that veil is torn, the trust is gone.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, I realized this.
So don't nonprofits kind of have to be careful with that?
Yes, really. I mean, I have a mother which is now 98, and maybe 10 years ago she started torturing me with things she has read in the papers, or she got mail like saying you have won that Mercedes. So this is this is a special kind of communication, and even I remember her putting articles out of the paper saying if you take this wheelchair blah 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 is the best blah. So and she was really a victim of all of this, and it I had really it ended up that I forwarded all the post to me because it wasn't, I couldn't help anymore. So this is really from an ethical point of view, it is really important to make that difference, to show what's paid advertising. I mean, this is in Germany, it's a legal thing that you have
Here
to.
too.
You have to show that if a text is advertising, it has to be signed as advertising.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so.
But this is.
Go ahead.
No, I just said this is becoming worse and worse. That even if you talk to the papers, to the editors, they offer you this. They offer very open. They offer you, if you have an ad with us, we write an article about you. And this is really, it's getting worse and worse. I mean,
That's payola.
yeah.
Remember in the radio days? Well, we still have them, but that became illegal in the United States because they would go in there, give the DJ a 45 or whatever, and give them money to play that song because they knew that's if the person who has the audience
Yes.
plays this
Exactly.
song, interviews this person, talks about this nonprofit, therefore they have an advantage, a competitive advantage.
And it's if in our times there's a high probability that someone finds out about that.
Yeah.
And this is then a big disaster. If you're having a non-profit which is shown paying some newspapers just for having good news, and this is really yeah.
That's true. So, well, I mean, you mentioned World Vision. So, I think it's obviously really important for nonprofits to get, to have that emotional appeal, because they're not selling something that they say, oh, you're going to love this, this pencil sharpener, it's going to save your life. They're selling something else. They're selling like involvement, and they're selling emotion. So if you're in that position, you're selling, the idea of people being involved in the good that you're doing, then you're going to use emotional, content. So, where do you, how are you honest about that? Like from your experience when you were doing marketing.
I mean, it's you mean how to be honest about that? How to do this honestly?
Yeah, how to both at the same time to be emotional, but
okay,
but to be honestly emotional and not
it's very yeah. I mean, this is in the system of World Vision. It's a very how it is defined, because you're paying a monthly amount for a child sponsorship.
Yeah.
But in fact, you're paying for a project because it's not possible to pay. It's not possible for an organization to pick out one child and give them money compared to the others. So the system is in a way not completely honest, if you want, like that. Yeah, but it's well, you still can see this child, you still can communicate with this child. This child is existing, and if you read the terms exactly, it's honest. Huh? So yeah, and I think this is the trick. You have to trigger the emotions, but you shouldn't lie. Huh? You should show what's really happening there. And if you we made films for them, and we always showed the child in the community. Huh? So this is the truth. The truth is not paying for a single child. The truth is paying for a community to blossom, to bloom.
Right.
Huh? So, and I think this is a very good, I learned a lot from them, because I think this is the best way to do it, to give people something back, as much as they need. I mean, if you have a sponsored child at World Vision, you can go see it. You can go there to Ghana or anywhere else, and you can meet the child. But then you realize it's a Catholic community, and they are related to Catholicism, and that's World Vision. I mean, everybody knows it's not. It's related to the church in a way.
Right.
Yes. But that's I mean, if for example, what I also learned is they are able to keep the people very, very long. If you have a sponsored
the donors,
child,
you mean?
The donors, yes.
Oh.
If you have a sponsored child, you will pay for this child as long as anyhow possible. You quit everything else before. If you're running short of money, you quit subscriptions. Today it would be maybe Netflix or Spotify. In these days, I was doing that. They canceled their paper subscriptions.
Right.
So it's really the last thing, because they are emotionally so connected to the child that if money is getting short, they do everything else not to. And to be honest, I have several sponsored child since 20 years, I think. I don't even know how long. So it's something which, and I like it. And you see, it's also in that system that you see the child growing as you're having an own child. Yeah. So you accompany that child in growing up.
So for people who don't like humans,
yes.
Like an organization like Sea Turtle Inc. could totally do the same thing. Sponsor Allison, sponsor Hang 10. Like I went there literally last year, saw Fred. I was like, Fred is so cool, but he passed away. And I was so sad when Fred passed away, because I was I was there. I saw their tanks. I know those turtles. I got to watch Allison being fed. Like, it was a big deal. And so you can make a connection even with an animal, or even with a building. Like an organization needs a building. Like, they couldn't do this thing before, but it was my donors' dollars that helped. Like, so I see the lesson is the emotional return on investment, you called it, Joerg, is that we donate this thing specifically for this. And because of that, this is the result. It's that also makes you feel good as a donor and incentivizes you to continue.
Yeah, it's the term self-efficiency. So you feel self-efficiency that you can change something in the world. And this is what we have to tell in the stories. If you're doing content for nonprofits, it's all about telling the people how they are making a difference. And it's funny because I have a friend who's very active in the effective altruists. You probably heard that. Effective altruists, Bridget? No?
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, it's people like Bill Gates, for example. They have a group of very wealthy, partly scientists, and they are working on the most efficient way to spend money. It's a very nerdy thing because, for example, it turns out that giving mosquito nets to African people is one of the most efficient way to save lives.
Right,
but
from malaria and yellow
exactly.
fever.
But it's so, but it's
it
not
seems
very.
So obvious, nobody's doing it. Yes.
Well,
No, and
it's not
very.
sexy.
It's not sexy at all. Or even, I mean, Bill Gates found out that many problems are coming from toilets, missing toilets in developing countries in the global south. That's a big problem. Toilets are not sexy, but he's spending so much money in the development of these things. So, and the funny thing is that they have this problem bringing this emotional return on investment across. So that's really interesting because they are really doing good, but it's very hard to convince people being part of that because it's so abstract.
Well, it's abstract until you flush the toilet, right? Anytime, no, seriously, like when Texas froze in February, the whole state of Texas was frozen. We didn't have water. You know, all of a sudden you're back in, you don't have indoor plumbing. Indoor plumbing is now gone for a week. You know, now like if you wanted to get people involved, it'd be like every time you give $20, you're allowing a family not only to do this thing you do just subconsciously, right? And you can make it a connection with that, and you could give them something to use in their restroom to help, like facial tissue or something, to help them be reminded that the simplicity of plumbing eliminates E. coli, cholera, all these things. Like people want to go camping, and I'm like, have you guys, like, indoor plumbing is a good thing. Why would we go backwards? You know, but there's certain things that they could do if they're clever enough. Now, I did watch that documentary. Did you see it, Warren, about Bill? It's called Inside Bill's Brain. And they talked about his $1 million toilets, because the problem is really infrastructure. You know, Rome had this all down, right? And they built the aqueducts and they built the sewers. They knew this, but for some reason, we don't have that kind of infrastructure in some developing countries. It's probably because of corruption, but whatever. But whatever we can do to, like, I mean, it might be, okay, here's a toilet. This is a temporary situation for the whole village to use. But in the meantime, what if we, you know, created a sewer system just for this village? Like, how hard would that be, you know? Because and this is what Warren and I were talking about a lot in our book too, is that nonprofits forget that they should co-market with for-profit businesses, because for-profit businesses also need to donate money for what? Tax purposes. So if I were trying to get the plumbing situation solved in, you know, name this country here, then I would be talking to Toto, a toilet manufacturer, American Standard, all those people. And then I would get them to co-market and create these ads. And I don't know why Bill Gates hasn't talked to these people, because they need tax write-offs. And every time you flush, like Tom's shoes, every time you buy a pair of shoes, they give a pair of shoes. So you buy a toilet that's 10,000 flushes,
Yeah.
that gives
Yeah.
one toilet to a village, right? There's plenty of ways to co-market. I mean, do you ever have these conversations with your clients, Warren, your for-profit clients, on how they could connect with the nonprofit?
Yes, but then that comes right back down to what we were talking about, is that nonprofits are very emotional products. Yeah. And you know, you can give money, or you can support nonprofit for the tax benefit. But I think at certainly the smaller business level, that's not at all sexy. You can sponsor, you can have your name on a plaque. But I think more important is that it's really like a symbiotic relationship. So before they're going to give money or support, they need to find a nonprofit that is similar to themselves. They need to find a nonprofit version of themselves. Because yeah, if I'm a shoe store, I can give money to the nonprofit doing computer courses for kids. But what does it have to do with me? I need to find this nonprofit that deals with perhaps people's walking disabilities, or giving shoes to migrants. I need to find that connection, because then you can feel good about yourself. And it really is nothing other than content marketing. You're putting the content out there. In this case, an advertisement, or the fact that yes, I'm supporting these, and then you're showing that you are getting more out of it than just the donation. And I think that's the stumbling block for a lot of the small businesses, that finding the partner that makes sense. Now, if I were in charge, I mean, they do these sorts of games in school. I can't remember when, but I know we did these in school all the time. They would always partner you up with someone that made sense. You weren't allowed to choose who you partnered up with, because it was always your best friend, the fastest, the prettiest, the smartest, whatever, and that never really made any sense, because no one would benefit from that. So, in the new capitalism, which we'll be discussing in fourth book of our series, it would be kind of interesting if, you had profit and non-profit connections that were somehow organized somewhere. Chamber of Commerce would probably be an excellent starting point.
Yeah.
Because then you can start local, and then the local, would then send waves out regionally, and they could say, oh, look what's happening in San Antonio. The San Antonio Chamber of Commerce has, put 20 small businesses together with 20 nonprofits. Wow, and look, it's really cool. Let's do this on a regional level. There you go. Speed dating.
But that would be really great, though.
Yeah,
could you imagine a speed dating event? In fact, I'm gonna speed dating for good. I might do that. I just might do that myself. But here's the thing. No, 10 businesses, 10 nonprofits, and you got 5 minutes. Ding, 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 and you pick somebody that you resonate with. When you talk to the director and the business owner, that would be epic. So Warren, how do you choose who you donate to as a business?
Okay, well, and I do exactly the same thing. I have like different levels of giving. There's money that I give to, if you send me an email, or if I see something on social media that, like a girls' coding school, or anything that relates to what I do professionally, then I'm going to send you some money. So there's that one level, and then the next level is something probably, it's a little more mercenary, but I will donate my time to my students, and I will pay them to work on projects, where they would probably do it by themselves or for free, or I say, how much do you want, and they quote me a figure, and I just double it, because it's not a nonprofit, it's not a charity, but in essence, you are helping someone who needs help.
Okay.
I think that's that benefits everyone.
Does the content marketing help? Do you ever think about how it is as a user? Like Nature Conservancy sends me these calendars, and they're beautiful and great, but I'm still going to donate to them. And here's what I think. What a colossal waste of money. How much does it cost you to print those calendars?
Probably what you've given them to donate.
Or let me opt out. I should be able to opt out of receiving print materials. I also get the World Wildlife Fund print magazine that sadly I don't read. It's on the bottom of 4 Harvard Business Review issues that I also haven't read. Because whatever, I spent too much time on the internet. So I would like, as a donor, to be able to opt out of receiving print marketing materials, because I think they're a colossal waste of funds.
They are. Yeah, they certainly are.
Well, well, you have to be thinking about talking about World Vision. You have to be aware that what is your client's social combination? So we are talking about elderly people, and there's still a target group which loves this kind of print materials.
Right. So what would we say in digital? What would we say in digital, Joerg? Segment your lists.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Ask us, do we want to receive this print material? Because I'm going to keep giving to Oxfam, World and Nature Conservancy, and Sea Turtle Inc. I don't need any of your swag. I don't want it. It's a waste of money. And to me, when I'm choosing who I donate to, then I'm like, well, maybe I should not donate to that and donate to San Antonio Homeless Ministry, SAM.
Yes. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If you're, maybe you don't need my money. My money's no good here because you're spending money on marketing materials that I don't even spend on my own business.
Yes.
Right? So let all the old ladies pay for that. Meanwhile, this other nonprofit that's more local needs help.
Yeah, sure. You're right.
I think a lot of this is just baked into the structure. It's always been done that way, and it probably always will be. And that's just simply laziness, and or just not being able to respond to the change, the speed of change when it comes to these sorts of things. We receive 3 of exactly the same magazine 3 times a year at our house. Why? Because each of us has our name in to donate. So we each get a magazine. It's and that's just simple laziness. That you can't see. There's 3 people living at the same address, with the same name. Oh, this could be a family. Just give in to the urge of double checking. But they just go into the garbage. Maybe we look at one, but the other 2 go in the garbage. And I'm thinking, so how much would that cost in time and resources and paper? So
That's not being used to help the cause.
It's not being used to help the cause. Yeah, unfortunately.
No.
However.
No, but still, if you look at the World Vision at the time right now, they got rid of most of it, and they have really developed a digital relationship management, which is showing the progress of your kid, etc., etc. So they are really good in doing that things.
Well, on the other hand, World Vision is very large. They've got they can up their game. They can do that.
Yeah.
And I think everyone should. I mean, the digital, it's something really that has to be invested in. I mean, even with
Yeah,
just
but it's
time and
not a
no
question. It's not a question of size. I mean,
No.
if you're small, you even more. You should be more efficient and not spending money for materials.
That's true, but I mean, if you are small, you see what the big players are doing, and you go, "Oh, look, they've got a glossy magazine that comes out 3 times a year. We should do this," you know. However, it's not written in stone, and I think there's enough opportunities for any size small business or nonprofit. Nonprofits are a business to get into the game and to use marketing to make that connection.
Better, yeah.
And as soon as you've got that connection, then, as Bridget says, you can ask. It's like, hey, we've got these ways to connect. What would you like? What suits your needs? We don't want to waste your money.
And it's, I mean, I'm coming back to the idea of Bridget with the toilet flushing thing. This is, it gives me the idea of user experience. So this is something you experience. So you make some abstract thing, being able to experience in real life. I mean, your relation to this company or this nonprofit is something you can give. You make that life.
Yeah, you make the connection. It's like the World Vision commercial where the kid is having his birthday party and he blows out the candles and then it gets really dark and there's like this poor kid in a village that, you know, doesn't have anything, you know, and there's 4 people going to eat this giant cake, right? So something you could connect with, that's something that you understand. And I was a teacher, so I'm a big believer in object lessons.
Yeah, yes. That's what we call the buzzword, the user experience. Huh? So.
Yeah.
Yes, user experience.
Teachers call it object lessons.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I've been enjoying our conversation for the last 3/4 of an hour, and I'm almost finished my big Bavarian beer. So I'd like to take advantage of our conversation about toilet flushing, and then use this point
for some user experience.
Have the user experience or the user delight with the toilet experience. Thank you very much for joining us again, Joerg. As always, it's a pleasure, and we're going to be coming back to you very soon. Online marketing for schools and education, and I know you've got a lot of experience there as well. And so we'll be back down here soon.
Yeah, greetings to Texas. Huh?
Thank you.
San Antonio.
Yep, 7th largest city in the United States.
Yeah,
and growing.
Yeah, okay. we don't talk about other aspects of Texas now.
Whatever. We have the best tacos. You guys have good beer. We have good beer and tacos.
Okay, good.
We have liver cheese too.
A huge German settlement here. Huge German population in San Antonio.
A settlement that sounds like they could use some flushing toilets.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye.